Jun-seo, heir to Daesung Group, 33 years old, cold and calculated handsome man. Sora, interior designer, brilliant, fiercely independent, and completely unimpressed by wealth. Park Minji, Sora's best friend and business partner. Loud, funny, and hopelessly romantic. Kim Jun-ho, jun-seo's younger brother, VP of Daesung Leisure, manages the family's hotel and resort division. Shin Na-eun, the arranged fiancé for Jun-seo, from the rival Shin Electronics family, elegant and polished. Kim Chan-ho, Jun-seo's father, chairman of Daesung Group, ruthless, traditional, and obsessed with legacy. Madam Kim, Jun-seo's mother, quietly powerful behind the scenes, the real power in the Kim family, smiles gently and says very little. Secretary Huang, Jun-seo's long-suffering personal assistant, has worked for Jun-seo for 9 years. Now let the story begin.
Seoul, 6:45 in the morning. While most of the city is still bargaining with their alarm clocks, Kim Jun-seo is already on his 43rd floor, standing in front of a window that costs more than most people's apartments, drinking black coffee, and staring at the Han River like it owes him money. He is, by every measurable standard, one of the most powerful men in South Korea. At 33, he has restructured 3 failing subsidiaries, expanded Daesung Group's international portfolio to 14 countries, and once made a rival company's stock drop 8% simply by raising one eyebrow in a press conference. He has also, in the past 5 years, been on exactly 0 dates, not because he couldn't, because he simply forgot. People forget their keys. Kim Jun-seo forgets entire romantic lives. His secretary Huang has a recurring reminder in his calendar that says you are a human being, not a spreadsheet. Jun-seo has never clicked on it, but today, something unusual is happening at Daesung Tower. Today, the architects arrive. Chairman Kim, the father, the legend, the man who once told a Forbes interviewer that emotions were a quarterly liability, has decided the Daesung penthouse headquarters needs to be redesigned. It is, in his words, a masterpiece. It is, in everyone else's words, cold, sterile, and aggressively beige. The firm selected for the redesign is OH and Park Creative Studio, a boutique firm, yes, but one with a reputation so fierce that even the old money families whispered their name with a kind of reverent terror. The principal designer, jun-seo Sora, 29 years old, from Busan, and completely, cheerfully, almost aggressively unimpressed by money. Sora arrives at the lobby of Daesung Tower, then looks up at the atrium with the expression of a doctor diagnosing a patient. Marble, Sora murmured to Minji beside her, tilting her head. Cold marble, steel fixtures, a fountain that serves no emotional purpose. And she squinted at the lobby art. Is that painting supposed to represent corporate ambition or the void? Both, Minji whispered back, gripping her portfolio. Please stop looking at things like that when the chairman is watching. The chairman, Sora said calmly, hired me to look at things like that. She was not wrong, but she was also about to say that exact thing to the chairman's son, and things were about to get very complicated. The meeting was supposed to be simple. Present the initial concept, smile, nod, leave, sign the contract. But nobody had told Sora that Kim Jun-seo would be sitting at the head of the table. And nobody had told Kim Jun-seo that the architect his father hired would walk into the room, set down her portfolio, look directly at him and say, without a single trace of nervousness, "This space is suffocating." Whoever designed it was optimizing for intimidation, not human experience. I understand that was probably intentional, but it explains why 3 of your senior executives requested remote work arrangements last quarter. Dead silence. Secretary Huang stopped breathing. Min Ji, behind Sora, began calculating the fastest route to the elevator. Kim Jun-seo looked at Sora for a long moment. Then he said, in a voice that had once made venture capitalists physically reconsider their life choices, "You read our HR reports." "I read everything," Sora said simply, "before I walk into a room." Another silence. But this one was different. This one had something in it that Secretary Huang had never witnessed in 9 years. Kim Jun-seo looked interested. Huang would later write 4 pages about this in his journal. The meeting lasted 3 hours instead of 45 minutes. Jun-seo questioned every design decision. Sora defended every single one. Neither of them blinked. By the end, the contract was signed, the concept approved, and Jun-seo had, for the first time in recent memory, completely forgotten to check his phone. Here is where the story gets complicated. Or, as Min Ji would put it, here is where everything goes sideways, and I was right, and nobody listened to me. 2 weeks into the renovation at Daesung Tower, on a Thursday evening, while Sora was reviewing lighting schematics in the temporary design office, she heard voices in the corridor. One belonged to Jun-seo, low, controlled, careful. The other was a woman's voice, smooth, polished, with the particular cadence of someone who had been trained since childhood to sound perfectly composed at all times. Shin Na-eun, heir to Shin Electronics, and, according to every major Korean financial newspaper, the woman whom the Kim and Shin families had been quietly engineering an engagement for over the past 2 years. Sora, to her great credit, did not eavesdrop. She simply did not move. And the voices came to her. "My father wants an announcement by the end of the quarter," Na-eun was saying. Her tone was not romantic. It was the tone of someone discussing a merger clause. "Your father," Jun-seo replied, "and mine have been having this conversation for 2 years without asking either of us." A pause. Then Na-eun said something that surprised Sora entirely. "I am not interested in this arrangement either, Jun-seo, but I am running out of diplomatic ways to say that without triggering a business crisis." Jun-seo was quiet for a long moment. "Then we will figure out something else," he said. And then, so softly Sora almost missed it, he added, "You deserve better than a strategic marriage." Na-eun laughed. A real laugh, not a polished one. "So do you," she said. And in that corridor, one arranged engagement began quietly, mutually to fall apart, while across the city 2 sets of fathers were already planning a dinner to celebrate it. Timing, as ever, was the universe's favorite joke. At the Daesung Tower rooftop, 6 weeks into renovation, 11:48 at night. Sora had not planned to still be in the building. She had plans to leave at 8, then 9, then 10. The rooftop installation was demanding, and the light sensors were behaving in a way she could only describe as personally offensive. She had also not planned for Jun-seo to appear on the rooftop at midnight with 2 cups of convenience store ramen, because nothing about Kim Jun-seo suggested he had ever stood in a convenience store in his life. He held one out to her without a word. She stared at it. "Is this a power move?" she asked. "It is ramen," he said. "From a convenience store, the one on the corner." "The green one." He paused. "Secretary Huang told me you had not eaten since lunch." Secretary Huang, at home, sneezed and had absolutely no idea why. They sat on the rooftop for 2 hours. The Han River gleamed below them. Seoul sparkled in every direction. And slowly, in the way that things do when people stop trying to be impressive and simply become honest, they talked, Jun-seo talked about the weight of a name you did not choose, about building an empire someone else designed, and wondering sometimes, very quietly, what he would have built if he had had the choice. Sora talked about Busan, about her mother, who took double shifts so Sora could attend design school, about the first time she walked into a truly beautiful building and physically felt, that space could hold emotion like a living thing. That is why what you do matters, Jun-seo said. He was looking at the lights below, not at her. You make spaces feel like something other than power. Sora looked at him sideways. That might be the most human thing you have said in 6 weeks. He almost smiled. Do not tell Secretary Huang. He will write about it. She laughed. And Jun-seo, cold, calculated, chronically unavailable Kim Jun-seo, felt something shift in his chest, like a tectonic plate. Slow and enormous and completely irreversible. If you are watching this and wondering what happens when two people who are not supposed to meet start to care about each other, you need to stay with me, because this is just the beginning, the family drama, the bored politics, the moment when everything they have been avoiding becomes impossible to ignore. Hit that subscribe button right now and tap the notification bell. Drop a comment telling me, have you ever fallen for someone you should not have? How did it turn out? Let me know. Now let us get back to the story. They say in Korea that when two chaebol families collide, the shockwave is felt in the stock market before it is felt in the home. Chairman Kim discovered his son's feelings for the architect not through a conversation, not through a family dinner, but because a photographer caught them at a restaurant in Insadong, and the photo was on 3 different financial news sites by 6 the next morning. The headline, in truly spectacular Korean media fashion, read, Daesung Air's dinner companion who is the mystery designer. Mystery designer. Sora would later frame this headline. It hangs in her studio to this day, next to her design awards because she finds it genuinely funny. Chairman Kim summoned Jun-seo that same morning. The conversation was brief, as Chairman Kim's conversations tended to be when he was displeased. His Maltese, Chairman Boo, sat on the chair beside him and observed the entire meeting with calm, unblinking eyes. She is an architect, the chairman said. Yes, Jun-seo said. From Busan. Yes. And the Shin arrangement? Jun-seo looked at his father steadily. Na-eun does not want it either. She told me herself. You should speak with her father, not with me. A long silence. Chairman Boo yawned. You are serious, Chairman Kim said. It was not a question. I have not been unserious about anything in my life, Jun-seo said. This is the same. And that quiet, certain steadiness was the one thing Chairman Kim had always respected in his son. He said nothing more that morning. The redesigned Daesung penthouse was unveiled on a Friday evening in November. The beige was gone. In its place, warm stone, layered lighting, spaces that breathed, artwork chosen for feeling rather than status, and a rooftop terrace that the architecture press would describe, the following week, as unexpectedly human. Chairman Kim stood in the center of the room and said nothing for a full minute. Then he turned to Secretary Huang and said, It is warmer. Yes, Chairman, Huang said. I do not hate it. Secretary Huang later confirmed this was the highest praise the chairman had ever given to anything other than quarterly earnings. Across the room, Sora stood near the terrace entrance, watching guests move through the space she had spent 4 months building. Min-ji was beside her, stealing canapes and providing live commentary on Jun-ho's attempts to look casual while standing exactly 12 feet away. He has been 12 feet away for 40 minutes, Min-ji said. I know, Sora said. That is not casual. That is calculated. It is a family trait, Sora said, smiling, and then Jun-seo was beside her. Not 12 feet, right beside her. And he said without preamble, in that quiet, precise voice she had come to know entirely, "You made it feel like something other than power." She looked at him. "You remembered that." "I remember everything," he said, "that matters." Secretary Huang across the room saw this exchange, excused himself to the restroom, and wrote 7 pages in his journal. It was, he later told no one, the best thing he had ever witnessed. And in the city of Seoul, where empires rise on discipline and legacy and the weight of names, 2 people stood in a room that had been cold and made it warm. And that, perhaps, was exactly the point. And that is where we leave them tonight. The impossible CEO and the architect from Busan, who saw past the marble and steel to the man underneath. But love stories in the world of chaebols are never simple. Family expectations, business pressures, and 2 people trying to build something real in a world built on transactions. If you want to know what happens next, if you want to see how they fight for this, hit that like button. Subscribe so you do not miss episode 2. Drop a comment telling me which character you love most so far. Is it Sora with her fearless honesty, Jun-seo with his quiet intensity, or maybe Min-ji and Jun-ho with their 12-foot standoff? Let me know. See you in episode 2.